like Jesus, I am surrounded by sin. Every morning on my way to school, I walk past rough boys with shaved heads and girls with pierced faces. They stand inches off the high school property line and smoke cigarettes. In the snow, they stomp their feet to keep warm and spit tobacco juice. When I appear, they whoop and swear and throw their trash at me. Every morning, I am their amusement, their victim. I could easily avoid my tormentors by taking a different path from my aunt's house, but I try to live by one rule. WWJD. What would Jesus do? And the answer is clear. Jesus never took the easy way out. Today I carry a black plastic bag. My antagonists do not see me immediately. I tighten my long orange scarf around my throat, and quietly I ease behind them. I begin to pick up their trash. Sticks and stones, their name-calling does not bother me. My real name is Suzanne. I am a 16-year-old sophomore at River Forks High School in central Wisconsin, and the year is 2001. But I don't feel this is my school, Wisconsin my state, or these times my times. I try to explain to the doctor that ever since I can remember I felt odd, as if I were not like the other kids. The world was larger and looming. Everything scared me. This morning, a can of Mountain Dew clatters at my feet. Yellow spray splashes my clothes, splatters my face. I look up to my main tormentor, Eddie Halverson. Mountain Dew drips from my cheek and across my lips. I had forgotten that Mountain Dew was so sweet. Eddie steps closer. He has a limp. From between his thumb and middle finger, he flips his cigarette directly at me. Cigarette stings my cheek like a bee. I look forward to the last class of the day, woodworking. I've always liked to make things. At 2 p.m., I go to woodworking. Eddie Halverson is there, and he glares at me. And he mutters something as I pass by to my shop locker. There, I spin my combination and take out my wooden swan lamp. I touch its long, dark neck. I begin to work on my swan. I use a handheld sanding block. I like to go slow. The neck of my black walnut swan curves up gracefully. I've been working on her all term, and she's really gotten beautiful. I love my swan. When I work on her, she reminds me that there is hope for Eddie, for all of us. After school, on my way home, it is snowing. Suddenly, Eddie blocks the sidewalk. For a moment, he scares me, but I remember that Jesus must have been afraid many times. Suddenly, Eddie whoops and snakes out his arm, and he grabs my orange scarf and strips it from my neck. I blink against the falling snow and look at him. WWJD. I set down my bag. He stops and stares. I peel off my sweater and hand it to him. He swallows as he stares at me. Suddenly, he flings my sweater in my face so hard I stumble back. The next day in shop class, Eddie's dark eyes follow me as I go to my locker, unlock it, and carefully take out my swan lamp. Working on my swan lamp makes me forget everything. I stroke my swan's dark neck. Parts of it are smoother than human skin. Eddie grabs at my swan. I jerk it away from him and cradle it in my arms. After he leaves, I turn back to my swan, but my hands are shaky. I do not see Eddie after school. I feel like he is close to a breakthrough. I pray for a long time until I'm cold and have to go home. The next day, I go to my locker. I can't wait to get started. But my padlock, broken, falls into my hands. Slowly, I pull open the door. My swan falls out in little pieces. She clatters to the floor like a spilled puzzle that can never be right. I can't help myself. I drop to my knees, clutch the pieces, and begin to wail. I leave school late. I head down by the river, and Eddie calls out, "Hey, weird Susie, what happened to your crow?" I blurt, "A swan. It was a black swan." To get away, I head down a bank, past a danger thin ice sign. I step onto the ice. I walk further out, toward the middle of the river. Jesus walked on water. It is all a matter of faith. Eddie takes more steps, and suddenly there is a sound under his feet. Eddie's arms flap, and his legs disappear through the ice. He screams. I wonder if my swan screamed when its head was cut off. I watch him, and I just think of my swan. What would Jesus do? I sit down, just out of his reach. I must think of what to do. After all, I'm only human.